welcome everybody. You're watching Chilling with Kwaksy, and I go by the name of Kwaksy. So, guys, today it's yet another day, yet another special CK show because we're having a CK show on a Friday. So, on today's show, it's gonna be different because it's all about the CK show and the speciality of it being on a Friday because it's normally on a Wednesday. Yes. So on today's show we have a beautiful Unomondi who's going to be gracing your screens. So guys, while we wait for Unomondi to actually request and come on the show, so I want to tell you guys that you can ask questions, like ask questions and then Unomondi would be pleased to actually answer your questions because today we're actually tackling a deep conversation, like we're talking about women and women abuse and should we stay the works. It's going to be really intriguing, so stay tuned while we wait on Monday to request and join my live video. So yeah. Right. Oh, it is like it's a very deep topic that we're actually handling today. So, and it's such an honor to have our women here join us and having to converse and with such a deep conversation. Ooh, okay. Yay! Namone is here. Hey, so we're about to get the roll bowling. So, guys, if you have any questions that are said, just type them and yeah. Hey, Miss Namone, thank you for joining us. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks, and yourself?
I'm good. Thank you again for doing this, for coming. It's such an honor to have you here.
Thank you.
I'm wearing College of Law Management.
I'm actually at work.
Really?
I'm in the office, yeah.
Wow, what you doing there?
I'm still preparing for this online thing, so I have marking to do. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's a different world that we're living in right now.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting world.
It is. So, as you know, we're talking about women and women abuse on today's segment.
Yeah.
Yes. So, I want to know what's your... Can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Okay, cool. The connection is good. So, we're talking about women abuse and the impact, especially during this quarantine and during this lockdown.
Yes.
Yeah, more intake on that.
For me, women abuse, because normally when we talk about women abuse, we talk about physical abuse.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we usually forget about emotional abuse, financial abuse, and stuff, because for me, it doesn't start with physical abuse.
Yeah.
When it's someone physically abuses you, he has done all the other abuses, so he has gotten the best out of you, so you're left with the worst you can be. Then that's when they start to physically abuse you.
So, okay, wait. Sorry, the people are just pinging me. So as I was saying, like, as you said, it doesn't start with just physical abuse. It starts some way, like emotional, financial, and stuff. But as a woman, what should one do? Should you stay quiet, or should you, speak out? Because sometimes it is hard to actually speak out.
When it comes to advising someone on whether they need to speak out, they need to leave their marriage, they need to leave their relationship. It's usually very hard, especially as a single woman, because I'm a single woman. I don't live with any men. I work, so I'm able to take care of myself. So it becomes very hard to advise someone on whether to leave or to stay. Because most men don't just abuse anyone. It's very difficult for a man to abuse someone who has had things all together. So to say someone needs to report, you have to, usually they start thinking about, so if I report my husband to the police, then he goes to jail, who's going to take care of us? As a family, who's going to take care of the kids? Maybe the mother is unemployed, or if she is employed, maybe it's those small jobs with small salaries. Men don't usually abuse women with money, women who have all their things together. So it becomes very difficult, and like it becomes hard to even tell women about success stories, because you've never been abused, you've never attended any of the sessions, so you wouldn't really know any of success stories unless you read about them on magazines, which are very few. So it's very hard to say, go report your husband, leave your marriage and stuff because you are being abused. But normally for me, it would be, get your things together. So yeah, the best advice for me is take your time, collect evidence, and while you're collecting evidence, you can start working on yourself, so that by the time you leave for good. You don't leave and come back, because when a person is not independent, is dependent on the abuser, they go and report the case, and in a few weeks' time, or maybe a day later, they go and cancel the report. And then even if they leave, go back to their families, if you left things at home shaky, chances are you're gonna go back to your abuser, because maybe you used to live in the suburb, and now you start thinking about, okay, now I have to go back to a township, I have to go back to my farm, or you stay in my farm for a couple of weeks, and then you feel like, no, this is not me, then you go back. So I think it's usually best for people to just get their things together. If it means they need to register for courses online, do that. If it means start looking for a better job while you collect evidence, do that, so that by the time you leave for good.
Wow. That's very informative. Thank you, Nondumiso, for sharing that. Because sometimes, like it's hard for a person to actually, want to get out, as you said, because the life, the financial support, and sometimes it's the fear, that this relationship or the thought of getting out might impose on that person. So how do you change the fear of that person, being afraid?
I think men, like abusive men, are very smart. It becomes very difficult for anyone to take advice of leaving their marriage or leaving their relationships when they are being abused. Like I said, it does not start with physical abuse. It starts with tiny things. Men would make you feel dependent on them, even with very tiny things. They would be your advisor. Then from there, they would then start with tiny things like emotionally abusing you, making you feel like you can never live without them, making you feel like you are nothing. So when it gets to physical abuse, at the end, like there's okay, you can't go any further except, of course, murdering and stuff. So it becomes very difficult to advise someone, and it becomes very difficult for such people to see themselves outside their relationships. So with friends, so you come across people with such issues, and you would advise, like I have a friend who's going through the same thing. So you would advise, but then at the same time, it's very difficult for a single woman to advise, because your friends would look at you and be like, okay, Unomone is jealous because she's not married.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it becomes very difficult. So sometimes the best people to give advice are the people who have walked through the same journey. Yeah, so it's best for someone who has a success story, or even if it's not a success story, but then someone who says, yes, I went through the very same things you went through. I did not see myself beyond this, and now this is where I'm at. There's even a show on SABC One. I don't know if you've seen it, where it's Orange Couch. Yeah. So some of the advices you can give to women is to please go and watch that. And those women tell you there's no way out of this.
Yeah.
It's either you leave immediately or you wait to die, because there's just two ways about it.
Wow. Well, it's very, wow. My word. I know it's very, like, it's deeply touching my heart right now. Like, as you said, it's truly is a hard thing to actually put yourself out there and to speak about what happened to you. I feel like that's one of the most bravest thing, like, a woman who has gone through this journey, for that person to be able to do that. But as I said, like, it's truly is a hard thing for a person to to go out and share their stories with a lot of people. Like, how does a person actually get to that point where I'm like, I want to tell people so that they don't go through what I went through?
It's usually when a person has been close to death. That's only when they leave. If they still feel like, okay, her husband is not gonna kill me, as much as her husband hits me all the time, but he's not gonna kill me. They remain in their relationships. But I've heard of stories where the husband would hit the wife and leave them by the road, and then someone would come and, I mean, usually the police or even strangers, when you've been helped by a stranger, and then the stranger would ask you, and they would try and assist you in any way that they can. It's usually when people feel like, okay, I think my marriage is not working. And then it takes some time for anyone who's been in a bad situation to speak out. Even with tiny things as failing a module, you don't just share this. You know what, guys? I failed a module. So it really does take some guts for people to speak out, and it's usually when you see other women going through the same thing, and they don't really know, but it's not gonna end. Some women feel like, if I change my behavior, then her husband is gonna stop hitting me. If I change A, B, and C, her husband is gonna stop doing all these things to me. Like I said, it doesn't start with physical abuse, it starts with emotional abuse, and you become dependent on your man in every way possible. So by the time you leave marriage, or by the time he hits you, it's like the end. So so it's okay, I'm a bit distracted, sorry. So women speak out to assist other women, to tell them that it is not your fault. Whatever happens, it's not your fault. Your husband hitting you is not your fault. It has nothing to do with your behavior, but then it has something to do with a mental state.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we
So
have.
women,
No, continue,
yes.
continue. Yeah.
So when women speak out, it's just to help other women. They feel like it's their duty to help other women because they do not see a way out, or because other women continuously blame themselves for their partner's behavior.
Wow. So we have a question for you from Nabazama. It says, do you think marriage consultations can be a first step before divorce in an abusive relationship?
Okay, because you remember I spoke about the orange couch.
Yes.
So the women who've been on the orange couch say, yes, you go to the counselor assists, but then an abuser remains an abuser. Yes, he may take a break for 2 years, and then you start believing that this man has changed. But then after a couple of years, they go back to abusing you. So for me, it can work if it's, if it's at the early stage where we talk about emotional abuse, talk about financial abuse.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can, especially maybe when it's financial abuse. Yes, it can work. But then when it's physical abuse, I doubt even a counselor would really help. Most counselors just tell people to walk away. Like I told you, I have a friend who's been in the same situation, and her counselor said, there's like no need for you to stay in this marriage.
Yeah, but what if you are dealing with a powerful person, you know, and it's truly is hard to actually just walk away? Then what do you do?
Mm. Like a CEO, some kind, a politician of some
Yeah,
kind.
or something who holds financial power, because that person has isolated you and with your family, with life in general, with everything around you, yeah. Then what do you do?
You have to equip yourself first before you leave. Like I said, while you're collecting your evidence, you can start working on yourself, so that by the time you leave, even his name does not matter.
Mm.
Yeah. So that's about it. You just have to equip yourself, make sure that you do not need to go back to that person. You can then go to a counselor just to make sure that you, you go back to being the person that you were before you got
Yeah.
into an abusive relationship.
We also have another message here from Nondu Municipality. She's like, the most important thing is for women is to see the importance of having their financial statuses in check. To be able to provide yourself is important, because as time goes in a marriage, so to make sure within your okay, as time goes on, we women tend to attach our worth to the man's financial value. When we learn to financial independence and love, we would go somewhere. Wow, that's very powerful.
Yeah, it is. Because, like I said, abuse does not, man is not going to abuse you when you are a CEO of your company. It's going to be very
Yeah.
hard for a man to abuse you. Yes, there are some high degree abusers who can abuse you no matter how financially stable you are. But then
Yeah.
it's very difficult. Yeah, it's very difficult for a man to abuse someone who has their financial status in check.
Mm.
Yeah, so that's the main thing. Like, for women to equip themselves before they even get married, for women to know the reasons why they're getting married, not to get married because you want to go and live in Mhlanga or you want to go and live in Sandton. Yeah. Like the reasons for getting into a relationship should be clear, and they should not be about material stuff. Because if it's about material stuff, that is when women find it very difficult to leave.
As Sandra, wait, my bad. As she's seen here, he's like, I think it's also important as people in relationships to not ignore red flags when they show up, and that women should protect themselves and not try to fix men. Oh yeah, because probably at first Klappe is gonna hit you, and then you're like, and then he comes with roses and stuff and apologizes, and then you're like, okay, maybe he's not gonna do this again. So yeah, I get what he's saying. Now we shouldn't try to fix men. Is can a person fix an abuser? Is that even possible?
Like you remember I said even a counselor
Yeah.
cannot fix an abuser.
Mm.
So who are you without that master's degree in counseling to think you can fix a person? Yeah.
Because sometimes you think probably the love is gonna, conquer everything. But what if sometimes love is just not enough? Because
love is never enough.
for you to be able to lay your hand on the person you say you love, you know, yeah, I feel like it's not just it's not respect.
Yeah, usually I think we've seen this happening maybe even with our parents or even with our relatives, where a man would be a cheater and then they propose to a woman and the woman agrees to marriage, thinking that after marriage this guy is gonna change. And sometimes when the relationship is not going well, some woman would say, maybe if I fall pregnant and we have a child, my husband is going to change. So a person is who they are. I'm the person that I am. So no man who's going to come into my life is going to change the person that I am. They just have to accept the person that I am and we move on. So if a person lacks something, they're just going to lack it for the rest of their lives, especially if it has something to do with mental stuff. So before you get into that relationship, I think it's best you advise your partner to go and seek counseling. And if counseling does not work early, then you just don't go there. You remain as friends if you care about that person so much. But marrying them would not be the right choice, and being in a relationship with them, it would not be the right choice.
Yeah, but sometimes you never see the signs. You see them way late. Then how can you help a person like that who only saw the signs later on and not, because sometimes you are blinded by love and you think that this person is perfect. You don't see the flaws and everything. You only realize them only way later. Then
apparently signs are always there. Yeah, like Dumiso just said, signs are always there, but you you just decide to be in that relationship because of love. Yeah. So signs are always there.
Okay, cool. And sometimes we have children involved in situations like this. Then how, like, as a mother, because I feel like the first step the mother thinks about is, making sure that the family is always whole, the family is always together, so that it doesn't have an impact on the children's lives or mental issues and stuff. But how can, as a mother, how will you be able to actually you know get yourself out of that situation, because in order to actually
And
support
be
and
able to support
yeah, to
kids.
be with kids. Yeah.
I thought about that earlier,
Mm.
and so I have a child, and I'm a
Yes.
single parent. Yeah.
Mm.
So, and I was raised by a single parent, and I
Yeah.
have friends who were raised by single parents, especially males.
Yeah.
So most of my male friends and my male relatives that were raised by single parents always say, I don't want to put my kids in the same situation. So even if I marry another woman, I would
Yes.
always go back and make sure that my kids are well taken care of.
Wow.
Yes. But then now, you stay in this relationship because you have kids. This man
Yeah.
is abusing you. So you say, I don't want my kids to be raised without a father. And let me
Yeah.
tell you the story that is said by kids that were raised in those situations.
Mm.
Um, they usually model their father's behavior or model their mother's behavior. So it's not like a kid that was raised by a single mother who says, I will never put my kids through the same situation. When a man abuses you as a mother, he
Yeah.
does not know the advice to give to kids. So he's
Yeah.
always going to be like, whenever a person wrongs you, you hit them. And then you go back to your mother because you hear your teacher saying something at school about abuse and stuff. So now you go back to your mother, you ask her about abuse. Then your mother says, it's my fault.
Mm.
So in a situation where people stay in abusive relationship, it actually does the opposite of what the mother intends to. So the kids grow up to model their father because no one has ever taught them that abuse is wrong. And
Yeah.
for girls, they model the behavior of their mother because their mother was unable to tell them, it is wrong for your father to hit me. So they grow up, instead of having a high self-esteem, they grow up with a much lesser, self-esteem than kids that are raised in by single mothers or single fathers. Yeah. So it actually does the total opposite of what the mother seeks to achieve.
Wow. And I read the story once where the the father used to abuse the mother, as in physically. So when the child grew up, like she always has been angry with the mother for actually allowing the father to actually do that to her, and the father to be able to actually do that to her mother, the woman he says that he loves. So, as a child who actually went through that, how do you actually let go of the anger you have towards, your parents?
Um, it takes forever. It takes a lot of counseling. Um, it takes, because kids blame themselves, unfortunately.
Mm.
They say, Uma would have not married my father if my father was abusive in the first place.
Yeah.
So it means maybe when we came along, that's when the relationship started failing. So they blame themselves. So now when they go for counseling, the counselor needs to assist them in forgiving their parents and then forgiving themselves before they can carry on with life. Yeah, and which takes forever. And some kids might not even be able to progress in life because of the abuse at home.
Wow. Wow. It's very informative, and it has just opened my mind on a lot of things. But I also have another question, because as you know, as a woman with kids, in that abusive relationship, you also you know, like your self-worth, you don't see yourself outside of this marriage without, you know, without um the father, or you don't see yourself letting go of this life because of, you know, the picture you want to paint for as like a happy family to your child. But you know, as a woman whose self-worth has been damaged, how do you know, fix that and love yourself, you know, again?
Um, it's hard for, especially for African people. You know, they always say you make your marriage work. Even if it doesn't work, you go back to your parents, you tell your parents the marriage is not working, and they are like, no, maybe it's your fault, you need to do A, B, and C. So you can't come back, no miganjani. You have kids, even your husband will tell you, like, so you can't leave. So it really takes some growth. It's you, as a person, you just need to have goals. So when you are in that situation, you need to picture yourself, and maybe you need to look at other women. You know, for me, when I was youngish, you know, I almost accepted early this single parent thing, or being single, not getting married and stuff, because you know, you look at the most beautiful women on TV, and you're like, they have all their things together. They're pretty, they have good jobs and stuff, but they're still not married. So you just have to have role models as a person, and you don't have to have one role model. Even when I came to varsity, I said, okay, so I looked at my former high school, what do you call them? Mates, former high school mates. So I spotted, which were older than me. So I spotted one. I was like, okay, she's doing her 4th year and she doesn't have a child. Spotted another one, and I was like, okay, maybe she doesn't wear e-weave. So you can go through varsity without e-weave. You can finish your degree without having a child. You can do A, B, C, and D. So you just need to have maybe 3 or 4 role models that you look up to, in order for you to remain with someone when your one role model disappoints you. So for a woman in a situation where they're being abused and they want to leave, they need to start reading about people who have gone through the same thing, and look at where they are. They need to start accepting themselves for who they are. They need to go to the mirror and look at themselves and see the beauty in them, because sometimes just that helps. I remember when I was pregnant, fortunately, I remained myself. So I did not get too big. I was just me. And then I would come across people and they would say, what's wrong? So even just that boost your self-esteem. So you just need to surround yourself with people that see the beauty in you, in order for you to see yourself outside your husband's words, outside your marriage. So it just helps. You do a lot of reading, look at positive things, look at yourself in a positive way.
Yeah.
And that would help you to be able to walk away when things get tough.
Is it the same to a woman who actually made that husband who he is actually right now? Probably you were a housewife and then you made sure that the husband got to where he is, like to be probably a politician or whatever he is, you know.
Let's say we married. Okay, I get married to someone who just finished their degree, and I help them to get their PhD, and they become lecturers and professors at some point. You just have to look at things in the positive way. So he's a professor, which means he's going to be able to pay maintenance for my kids, of which he wasn't going to be able to do if he was he was just someone maybe with a degree. So you just have to take whatever you can.
Yeah, because you actually
leave.
You gave up your career in order to help this person who is now abusing you, you know.
I mean, everything counts. So when you go to court, you tell them whatever you went through with this person. You tell them that because normally your kids maybe would be in a private school or in a very good school. So he would continue paying their fees. And normally women, they remain with the house because they remain with the kids. So you'd still get benefit. Just count your blessings and forget about everything else.
Wow. That was amazing. Nomande, thank you so much for joining us. It has been an amazing interview, and it was so nice talking to you and, like giving us your inputs on this situation. It was wow.
Yeah, when you told me about the topic, I was like, okay, this is going to be a tough one. That is going to be a tough one. But yeah, I'm ready to accept the challenge. So I said, yeah, let's do it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Wow. As you it's not the last time we're gonna be seeing your pretty face on the screen.
I don't feel so pretty right now. Thank you.
Wow. You're being modest right now. You're beautiful, and thank you for joining us. Until next time on our special CK show again.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye, Nomone.
Sure.
Wow. That has been an amazing interview. Like as Sister Nomone said, you just have to look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself that you are beautiful, because you are beautiful and you are definitely smart, intelligent, and you are definitely worth it. So guys, that's it. The time has come and passed. Well, chilling with Kwaksy. Well, do join us next week, Wednesday at 3 o'clock, where we're going to be talking. So next week it's going to be family reunion. So it's going to be like a family reunion for all our at UR 105.1 presenters and father's family. So next week is all about family reunion. It's going to be an amazing show. So do tune in at Wednesday, 3 o'clock, and of course, another CK on a Friday, which is going to be same time as this one, which is going to be 12 p.m. So, guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and it was such an honor to be able to talk to Miss Nomande, and it was such an honor for you guys to share in your thoughts on what you thought about the situation. So, thank you so much. It's your girl, Kwaksy, and have to love and leave you. Until next time, same place and same time. But first on the Wednesday one, which is 3 o'clock. So, but guys, thank you so much for joining us. I love you and goodbye.